Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, I know you're a good group, and I'm so glad to be here. We've got a lot of things to cover, and I only have 1 hour in which to do that. Now, how many of you know a lot about Parliamentary Procedure? I can see right now, that's a good group. Well, how many of you think that Parliamentary Procedure is difficult? Oh my God. It's fun. How many of you think it's fun? One person. Well, we're going to talk about all of those things in this short presentation today. And can you see the slide okay? Is it kind of fuzzy? Is it all right? What do you think? Okay, it's all right? All right, well, let's go on because you have the handouts, and so you'll follow along with me as we cover each one of those. So let's talk about it. When I was actually doing this presentation, I thought about it for a while. And how can I give you as much as you need about parliamentary procedure in 1 hour? How many of you think that I'm going to make you parliamentary experts? When you go back to your clubs, you're going to speak those words of wisdom. People are going to look at you in awe and say, "Oh, you do, huh? You're a good man." I have something exactly for you, sir, since you think that. You can do right here. Okay, anything you want. Anything at all. Your favorite, no problem at all.
We can fake it till we make it.
You can fake it till you make it, no problem. Okay. Well, there's no way in the world I can tell you everything you need to know. You didn't think too much about that, huh? I can tell you everything in the world that you need to know about parliamentary procedure in just 1 hour. You believe that? Mm-hmm. There is no way. There's no way that I can tell you everything you need to know. Now, I'm a professional registered parliamentarian. That's what we're talking about. It took me 5 years to get my professional license. And so I'm to make you as close to parliamentary experts as I can. And how in the world do I do that? Well, we're going to go through some basics, and we're going to test your knowledge about parliamentary procedure. In fact, I'll cover each one of these. You're going to take a test, and that's what you've done already. It's going to see exactly how you are about parliamentary procedure. So we'll talk about that. Then we're going to review the order of business. One thing that I was told by Linda is we have meetings all the time. So how can we have effective meetings, and what do we need to cover? So that's what we're going to do. And I believe in participation by doing, so we're going to have an opportunity to do that, if time allows. So let's go on a little bit further than that. How many of you love to make motions? Oh, no. Again. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about amending motions. And how many of you, when you have someone who's presiding, and you've had some disagreements with that presiding officer, have you wondered what you had to do? Did you want to do it professionally? So we're going to talk about all of that in this short 1 hour's presentation. And then, of course, I'm going to open it up to questions. Now, you've all had the questions, and you've answered those questions. Is that correct? So let's review them to see exactly how great you are. Excuse me. At the end of this training presentation, these are the things you're going to be able to do. Of course, I'm going to be able to learn why we use parliamentary procedure. I'm going to be able to practice making a motion in a business assembly. And then I'm going to deal with some challenges that I may have. And that's all in everything that you need to know about emotion. Now, I can't tell you everything, but I'm going to give you as much as I possibly can. So let's go on. This is basically what we're going to be doing. Now, I gave you some true or false questions. So the first one, is this true or false? True. Okay. The mover of a motion can speak against his or her own motion. True or false? Okay. I'm going to say true. Okay, I'm going to say false. Oh my God. Well, you know what? That is absolutely false. Okay. Now, again, if a mover makes a motion, he can do that, but he can't speak against it. Now, he can vote against it later on, but he cannot speak against it. What about the second one here? A motion before the assembly when it has been moved and seconded. A motion is before the assembly when it has been moved and seconded. How many agree with that? That's true. Okay. No, that is also false. Yes, indeed. Simply because a person makes a motion and moves, someone seconds it, meaning that they want to hear the motion, until the presiding officer announces it before the assembly exactly what was stated, it is not before the assembly. So again, you need to be aware of that. Okay. The motion to lay on the table is used to kill a motion. What about that? Okay. Is that true or false?
False. It's holding the motion over until it can be brought up in the next meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And that is what the intent of it is. Basically, a motion, number one, that's false. Okay? So if you put true now, that is false. What the motion used to lay on the table is you have some issue that needs to be resolved. You want to, you have an issue that has come before this assembly, and you have to take action immediately. For example, you have a keynote speaker. He has to make a presentation because he has to go catch a plane. So what you want to do is you want to lay the motion of whatever you're doing on the table until the person makes his presentation, and then you're going to bring it back and continue on. Okay? So again, that is false. You guys are batting real good right now. What about this one? Amendments can be applied to any motion regardless of whether or not they are germane. True or false? You guys get a little skeptical here now, so help me out. Okay. Is that true or false? I'm going to say true. Okay. I'm going to say false. Well, guess what? I guess the majority rules, so it is false. Let me tell you what. Okay. The motion must be germane, meaning it must have a bearing on what is being discussed. So you cannot do that. We're going to talk about motions and whether or not they are germane and not germane. And we can amend them, but that's a lot of things to cover in this short period of time. So again, it is false. Well, I see we're doing quite well, so let's continue on here. The minutes, Secretary, the minutes of the meeting must be approved by the use of the motion, a second, and a majority vote. Pardon me? Oh, wait a minute. Now, you shouldn't be working on that right now. You shouldn't be working on bingo. You should be on page 2. You should be on page 2 answering questions. But wait a minute. We're not playing bingo right now. You're getting ahead of me. So you're going to have to wait a little while. Okay? Wait a while. And the cover all means you must cover all 16 things before you can say bingo. Oh yeah, okay, good. You got it? Hey, what can I say? That's okay. All right, so let's go on though. Again. So is that true or false? True. The minutes of the meeting must be approved by the use of the motion seconded on the majority vote. You know what the key word is? Must. Must. Who said must? Must. That's it, must. It is not. How many times have we heard unanimous consent? Right? No. He's used that unanimous consent. If there is no objection, we will do, etc. So again, that is false. How we doing? You guys get them right? I know it is. Okay, so let's go on here. Again, majority means one more than half. Majority means one more than half. I'm going to say true. Well, you truths are going off kind of weak here now. I'm going to say false. It is false. Yeah, because majority means more than half, not one more than half. More than half. It becomes crucial when you're trying to determine, number one, the person, if they're elected or they're not elected. But we're going to get into that as we go on. You guys are doing pretty good, aren't you? All right, take a deep breath now. I know it's getting a little hard. It will take a deep breath. Okay. Listen to this. What do you think about this? The person seconding a motion must, by definition, be in favor of the motion. A person seconding a motion must, by definition...
False.
False.
You mean to tell me if I second a motion, you mean that I have to be in favor?
You said you could vote against it later.
Huh?
You said I could vote against it later.
Yes, you can.
But I don't think you can speak against it.
No, you can't speak it. That's the maker of the motion.
No, I don't think the
Okay.
second can speak against it.
The second? Okay. Let me tell you what the second does.
Okay.
By the way, that is false. All the second does is says, yes, I think the motion is worthy of consideration. So let's bring it before the assembly so they can decide what they want to do. That's all a second does. That's all it does. It means someone else other than the maker of the motion wants to hear it brought before the assembly. How many of you have had a motion made and it's not seconded? That means no one else thinks it's worthy enough to be brought before the assembly. That's all a second is. It means that someone else wants to do it. So let's go on, because we'll be here all day. All right. A presiding officer should say, "You are out of order," when ruling that a motion offered by a member is not in order in the time according to the parliamentary situation. True or false? False. How many say false? Okay, how many say true? Okay. When you're ruling on a motion, the motion is not in order. Not the person. Not the person. Okay? And if a person is not in order, then we're going to take some type of action to correct that behavior. By the way, a little side note, when the presiding officer, the president has a member who is out of order, being dilatory, we call that, then he or she can ask the assembly, "Shall we remove this person?" Yeah, and they can do that. But the assembly is the only one that can do that, not the presiding officer. Just a little extra.